Hi everyone, Mickey Jacobs here. Welcome to Angel Chat, Wednesday, what is it? Wednesday what? October 4th, 3rd, something. I wrote the day, all day, the date, all day today, and I forgot what date it is. October, the beginning. So thank you for joining in. Let me know who is in, so I feel that I have viewers. 6 p.m. Sorry about last week again. I got too busy and a little bit drained, so I couldn't really do an angel chat. But I would try to keep it up, obviously, numerous times a month. So who is this? Someone is giving me love bubbles thingy, and I don't see any name. So hopefully I'm on. Just let me know you can hear me and, more importantly, see me, so we can discuss today important topics. I thought of doing near-death experience because, now let's see, oh, Jeannie, hi, honey, thanks for your popping thingy. Heart, did you do the heart? Yeah, so in my work as a hospital, I do a volunteer work, try to do it weekly if possible. I actually come across quite fascinating story about near-death experience, obviously not every week. But over the last now, yes, you did do it. Thank you, Jean. Over the last, getting into my 4th years now, I come across experiences of near death, which of course it's not an easy subject to open, specifically when I enter a patient room. Sorry about Max the parrot. Enter a patient room to discuss about how they feel, but I really believe that the work of my volunteer, like every work, is really guarded by the spirit world, guarded by God, and therefore the specific room that I enter always fascinates me, that those are the rooms that actually open to the concept to discuss a little bit more spirituality and certainly express or describe near-death experience. Because once again, this is not something that is easy discussed in a form of a patient obviously being in a hospital not well. So it's somehow always I get to those people, so to those patients. So really over the years I have quite a fascinating story. So today we're going to discuss a little bit. Of course, a lot of people ask me, are near-death experiences real? That would be the first question that I have received over the years. And if so, what specifically does that mean? A lot of people claim or believe or think that it might be once the physical body dies, it's something that perhaps the brain produce like some sort of a chemical, and that really provide the experience of a near-death experience. So naturally, doing what I do for a living, and of course being connected to spirituality, as well as validating if near-death experiences are real via spirit. So the answer is yes. Near-death experiences are very much real and more fascinating than we even think. So no, I do not believe that the brain produces some sort of a chemical. I know a lot of doctors, even from my experience, believe that perhaps the brain produces some sort of chemical, if you will, when the body ceases to live, if you will, and then when the person comes back, that's what they recollect. But I do not think so. I think that this is actual, the closer we can get, if you will, to the spirit world. Hello, Cindy. Thank you for watching, honey. Actually, I believe that it's quite blessed to experience near-death experience, because it is the closest we can get to being dead and be able to come back and talk about it. So I think that they're very much real. So for any of you that experience near-death experience or know of someone that experienced a near-death, NDE as it's called, then I believe they're very much real. So what's happened really in a near-death experience? Everything kind of started like it always does, in a way that the body died. Once the body, that probably every single video I repeat about what's happened at the time of death, when the higher self, which is the percentage of the energy of the soul that experience life within the body, exit the physical body via the crown chakra, and then started the after-death processes that all of us human souls are going through. So everything go according to plan once the person body died, once the heart is not beating, of course, and then the soul indeed exit the physical body. So most experiences are very much that the people that explain their near-death experience to me is very much identical to what soul come forward in reading and take me through the last minutes on planet Earth, as well as once they are arriving into the spirit world or out of the body, that they feel disoriented, if you will. A lot of soul or spirit use the phrase that the body was there, yet me, I was still very much alive, and therefore I was surprised as to why the body is supposedly dead. Obviously seeing a loved one, sometimes of course that's a sad experience, of course, as well as being aware that the body is dead, yet feel very much alive. So for souls that come via reading and explain that to me, as well as people that experience the NDE, the near-death experience, also say that for a moment they were kind of disoriented, hovering around the body, if you will, and realize that people pronounce them dead or walking on the body, yet they're very much alive. The lovely thing about it, that everyone described the fact that they are not in pain. I know for probably couple of examples that there was actually in a car crash, and therefore the pain didn't happen anymore despite the body being bruised or obviously in bad shape. So when they experienced the near-death experience, when the higher self left the physical body, naturally there is no more of the sensation of the physical body, and in this case the pain. So not only is the feeling of being free, lighter, they felt that there was no pain. Now, when it's come to the common story about going through the tunnel, I came to realize that some call it a tunnel, some do not call it a tunnel, some call it, I know one person told me in the hospital that it simply felt like a long room, if you will, and I really came to the conclusion that it's depend on what we are, the words or the description we give it once we are here, because sometimes it's hard to kind of put it into words. The fascinating thing about it, that everyone describe it as a long kind of a, hello Ruthie, hello honey, everyone describe it kind of a long hall or a tunnel or a long hall, if you will, and appear to kind of be moving forward. Everyone describe it again, whether there are souls that come forward in a reading, meaning where the unfortunately person did pass away, as well as the near-death experience, that describe the common thing, not only that it's a long hall or a long tunnel, is that describe, of course, the light, of course, the feeling of very much in serenity, very much in calmness, calm, if you will, not calm, where the feeling, not only there was no physical pain, a lot of stories also come across where they felt neutral. There was no sadness, despite being aware of the family or the doctors frantically trying to save them. They claimed that there was no feeling one way or another. If something, their tendency was not to come back. There was no sadness for the family, even as sensitive as kids around there. Meaning, even if the story was from parents, that almost like everything become, hello Mercedes, hi honey, everything become neutral. There was no longing to go back to the kids, specifically obviously parents or kids or spouses. So that's why I kind of over the years collect that it appeared that the near-death experience, meaning once we exit the body, it's a little bit more neutral. There is no sadness, there is calmness, there is kind of a serenity, if you will, but everything is as matter of fact. Specifically, a fascinating story that I received from a man, I suspect he was probably about 67, 68, maybe mid-60. And he was actually Catholic, so he was not spiritual by no means, which I found that was story even more fascinating, because he didn't came from being, you know, spiritual, wasn't open to the concept of life after death, very much religion prior to this experience, yet to hear from him in such an amazing description what's happened. He was describing, I remember sitting in his room for about 2.5 hours, not wanting to go home, just wanted to kind of make sure that he give me every detail. So that was the most fascinating kind of a first-hand encounter, if you will, with someone that described the light, the warmth of the light, the long tunnel. He did not call it a tunnel, he kind of a long room. And he was the one that described seeing actually doctor frantically walking, and the family was there as they was told that he was in the car crash coming over. And there was very much, once again, neutral. I asked him, did you feel that you miss him? Were you worried? Were you fearful that you die? And he used the claim that there was no, death was not, hello Brandy, death was not part of his, he didn't care. He just kind of let it go, let whatever happen, go. He did mention that the inclination was, I didn't want to go back to that painful body, and he also looked at the physical body and see how the machine was all hooked up and he was bruised, obviously, and it almost disgusted him, if you will. So the experience was completely different than what we thought a near-death experience would be, in a way that the person would try to jump back to the body or don't want to go, or fearful. I have never heard that the experience is fearful. If something, it's very much a pleasant experience. Now, a lot of people ask me, first of all, why they went back. So naturally, those people went back because it's not their time to go. Of course, you know, also by my... Ladybug is very active today. As you know, also by my teaching, that very much when we're supposed to go, we go. And even though it's very, very close, if the time of death is not then obviously we have a lot of forces to make sure that we don't exit planet Earth. Although you also know by my teaching that sometimes indeed accidents happen and we can die prematurely, but for the most part that doesn't happen. So when the soul exits the body, and obviously the time of death is not then of course the soul would return back into the body, which, by the way, a lot of people ask, how can the soul return back into the body? And I always tell people that it's actually something that happens to us every night, in a way that at night, once we are in deep sleep, we are indeed, the soul indeed leave the physical body, interact, we recharge ourselves, if you will, encounter our team in spirit, departed loved one. So we do have that process every day when we sleep. Of course, we have to have a deep sleep in order for that process to occur. Nonetheless, yes, it's obviously exit the body and then enter, because that is not the right time. A lot of people ask me also, why is it so rare? And I said, it is not rare. What rare about it is that people indeed remember. It's almost like dreams that we all dream. We also, all of us, interact with departed loved one via dream. Most of us human beings actually get messages via dream. Dreams are very easy way for spirit, whether it is spirit guide, our angels, or departed loved one, to get to us via dream. Again, assuming we are in a deep sleep, otherwise that's usually that encounter doesn't happen. However, dreams are a way in which for us to get messages. However, most of us human beings forget that. And the reason we forget is because the moment we wake up, kind of life rush in, if you will, and the mind that doesn't even wait one more minute after we open our eyes, start thinking and worry, and in that point, the messages or any spiritual visit that we got, as I call it, kind of go out the window. So I really came to a conclusion that the near-death experience is indeed more common for those people that did not meant to die, obviously, meaning that the physical body died because of the injury of the illness, yet came back to the physical body because the divine timing of exit planet Earth was not the right timing. So, however, I think that very few, which why I said right at the beginning, that indeed very few are blessed enough to remember. Let me see. Yes, yes, it is very good, Jerry. It is very fantastic idea to write dream down or have a dream journal. I know a lot of times in reading, Spirit even advise people to have a recorder near the bed. So if you know that you good at dream. I was never really good at dream because it's exactly what's happened to me where I kind of forget in the morning. But if you know, if you, Jerry, or a person know that they're good at dream, then you absolutely should write it down, because sometimes messages come, you know, via numerous nights, meaning it's kind of like automatic writing when they give the message and they would continue the next day and finish it the following day. So yes, it is important to do that. Yes, as I mentioned, that a departed loved one very much use dream in order to get their message across. So yes, that's very important. Well, to try to recollect that. I think there's also a lot of ways where you can know how to interpret certain signs, certain messages that are not quite straightforward. So dreams are quite a fascinating way to connect to spirit. You don't have to be awake to be able to contact spirit, meaning they will use our dreams. So if you're interested in that, you can follow up or learn about it. So as for near-death experience, I believe it does happen more often to human beings, quite a lot more often. Oh, thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much. Quite a lot more often. I just believe that people do not remember that. Also important things for me to bring it up here as to what I kind of conclude coming across people with near-death experience, that I can tell that each one of them interpret the near-death experience to their own culture or their own belief. Although all of them follow certain things, meaning everyone saw that long tunnel, everyone saw the light, everyone felt very much neutral, there was no fear. Everyone, without exception, wanted to come back to the body or continue life night and day than what we would think would happen. So those basic feeling or experiences, everyone shared that I came across the NDEs, but the people that was a little bit more vivid near that experience, I kind of realized that if people, for example, believe in angels, they explained to me that at the end of the tunnel, they came across angels. That lovely man, obviously being Catholic and, you know, grew up on the Catholic religions, claimed that he saw Jesus. Now, of course, we're going to touch Jesus real quick. Of course, Jesus is very much a beloved guide, as I call him, if you will. Nothing to do with what the religion believe. I really know that Jesus is a very much an ascended master, as it's called, among other ascended masters. So yes, he could have very much saw Jesus. However, his descriptions for what he see, it appear a little bit more perhaps that he recall his memory from what he grew up in his religion. Yeah, Elad, hold on. I can't quite read it. So I can't quite see because I forgot my glasses to get today. Either way, it's so again, the certain things have the same base to them that was very much identical from one to another, yet a description of who was waiting for them. Sometimes they claim it was a departed loved one, a lot of time, like I say, angels, and Jesus is a star. A lot of people claim that when they cross over and they kind of flow within the tunnel, then he came in and greet them. Is it true? Of course it's true. He's a real light being, a real guide. As to is he specific was the one there, I don't know, but that kind of vary from one person to from another. Hold on. And I don't know what it is, Andrea. I just tell people to be very cautious if they have a nightmare, such as your niece that dreamed that her heart was stabbed, because usually interacting in a dream via the spirit world, whether we see a departed loved one, whether we interact with spirit, usually that would not be dark or negative, nor it would be a premonition. So over the years, I realized that indeed, if people wake up and have a scary dream, that's usually, from my experience, a kind of a reflection on the life within the dream, whether the life is chaotic, whether the life is worry, of course, like all of us. But the more chaotic the life, the more chaotic the mind is. When the person went to bed, then it's tend to interpret that into a negative dream. But I don't honestly remember a case where someone dreamed of something so negative and so happy and it's happened to be real or a premonition. Because even if it is interaction with spirit, they would not do that. They would not deliver a message like that via dream, so we wake up so fearful like that. So, you know, we kind of a fearful species, specifically now. The planet is very harsh, everyone is confused, and a lot of time those dreams is just a reflection of where we are collectively as a race, but not necessarily something to be worried about. Usually premonition, my pleasure, Andrea, my pleasure. Usually premonition are not designed like that for us to see what would happen. Obviously, we're supposed to just live a day at a time and just kind of go with the flow and see where the life lead. So usually a premonition specifically heavy like that would not happen. So essentially, another thing about the NDE or the near-death experiences is that, remember, I don't know what video it was, maybe the last video, one of the last video, when I explained to you that there is an area, if you will, where we exit the physical body, where spirit guide come and greet us, departed loved one come and greet us at time, pets come and greet us. It's kind of like an in-between prior to actually end. Oh, I know when I spoke about it. I was talking to you about it when we discussed about ghosts. Remember? And I was explaining where ghosts become stuck. And where they become stuck is in the area in between, kind of like after exit the body and before entering the spirit world. So that is kind of where the near-death experience happened, meaning naturally the soul did not continue on to the spirit world, otherwise we would call it death. Not near-death experience, but it's kind of like in an in-between space, if you will, or tunnel or room that I believe that in between, once it takes some time to continue on to the spirit world, and I think that's what's happened. Obviously, once again, the divine timing is wrong, and then the higher self very naturally come back to the body and then feel the pain again. And another thing I'm being reminded here to bring it up, that actually people with near-death experience, not only that change their view to a little bit more spiritual lifestyle, it doesn't mean that, because I asked that man in the hospital if he still practice how you say it, honey? Catholicism? I don't know how you say it. He still practice Catholicism. Type it. Help me with my English. He still practice Catholicism. He was still Catholic, but he was able to detach more with the rules of the religion. He was more soft about it. Even his views about Jesus was a little bit, he realized there is life after death. He realized he's a soul. He realized he's energy. He realized there are no rules and regulation to enter heaven, as some of the religious perhaps believe. So even though people with near-death experience might not necessarily left their religion, they certainly become more light about it. Oh, here it is, Sherry. Honey, Sherry, leave it to Sherry Moyer to write it. Catholicism. Thank you, honey. Catholicism. Catholicism. Here you go. Terrible English. So, even though they're very much not necessarily left the religion, they were able to detach from it a little bit and be a little bit more spiritual. And of course, the people that experiences don't care to die. That didn't scare them anymore. They were quite certain that when their time come, and therefore they value life a little bit more, able to live more one day at a time, if you will. And the story I came across in the hospital was someone that had it 1 year ago, 15 years ago, 30 years ago. So I had enough experience where it wasn't, hello, darling, hi, honey. So they were able to keep up that ability to enjoy life, to kind of let go, to become neutral again, that whenever their time comes, and when they go, obviously there is indeed that beautiful, wonderful feeling that daily they were reminded of what they experienced in their NDE or in their near-death experience. So go back to my initial phrase that this is very blessed. If you know someone that experienced that, perhaps try to talk to them, because I remember that I got soothed when I talked to those patients. It's lift up my spirit. It's almost like validate to me what I do in my work. Of course, every day in my work, I come across spirit that I know are not dead yet. The way they describe it, that they were actually there, it's really validate what I do, validate what I believe, and it was really quite wonderful. You can also buy books about near-death experience. There are plenty of them. Make sure there are books that are a little bit more, the explanation is a little bit more simple. I know some clients tell me that some books are a little bit too complicated. So you want that in simplicity of people that describe, because that would absolutely, in an indirect way, would help you feel what they feel, which is, hello John, hello honey, would feel what they feel, live at the moment, there is no death. Essentially, a book about near-death experience would awaken your own memory, and therefore will reflect to you what would help you to kind of lighten up on life, lighten up of fear of death, which we all have, of course, and lighten up in a way that maybe you can detach a little bit from rules or regulation or fears that maybe you grew up via religion or culture or your own upbringing, because I really find out that that's helped, it can help a lot. So I hope that helped you a little bit. It was kind of a very broad topic, and I wanted to touch briefly about everything. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Thank you very much for the comments. I forgot my glasses. Next time I'm going to put it here. So I have it in me. But a good question on the dreams as well. So yeah, dreams are quite really important. So I will talk to you next time. I'm gonna come up with the viewer topic. I accumulate quite few of them, so please send me more topics if you have, and I will see you next time. So take care, guys. Bye.